Hello, this is Bill Bullard with RCAF USA, the voice of the independent cattle producer in the United States of America. Well, in the last segment, we discussed how the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, wants to carry out the directives of the United Nations, World Trade Organization, and the World Organization for Animal Health to implement a national animal identification system that would require all U.S. cattle producers to purchase and use radio frequency identification devices, or RFIDs. These devices would be used to identify all of their cattle, so the federal government will know where each and every head of cattle is located in the United States at any given point in time. This is globalization at its worst. A government mandate such as this undermines our free market economy. Some cattle producers are already using RFIDs because the marketplace has signaled to them that there are premiums available when they produce for a niche market that is willing to pay them for the additional cost of such a system. But once the government imposes such a costly system on each and every cattle producer, the niche market that exists today will disappear, and the premiums producers are now receiving will evaporate. After all, why would the marketplace continue paying for such a system when it is gifted the RFIDs by the federal government? In the early 2000s, the USDA began in earnest to mandate the use of RFID tags as part of the mandated National Animal Identification System. Free market cattle producers fought back, and the widespread opposition caused the USDA to slow way down. But the USDA was persistent, and the efforts to impose a new identification system spilled over into the next administration. In 2013, the USDA backed down and issued a watered-down version of its National Animal Identification System, and after fully considering the cost-benefits of mandating RFIDs, the agency determined the cost did not outweigh the benefits, and it did not require the use of RFIDs on livestock. Instead, the government determined that the metal brucellosis tag was a sufficient means of animal identification for aiding in traceback efforts in the event of a disease outbreak. Today, all adult cattle transported in interstate commerce are required to be identified with an official animal identification device, and the metal brucellosis type ear tag serves that purpose. Those metal ear tags cost about 10 cents a piece, and the USDA is currently paying for those tags. That means the cost of the government program designed to assist the government in conducting disease tracebacks is covered by the government and does not increase the cost of production to U.S. cattle producers. In comparison, the government determined the cost of RFID ear tags range from $2 to $2.60 per head, and the total increased cost if RFID tags are required would range from a low of $2.48 per head to a high of $7.17 per head. Importantly, the government found that the largest cattle producers would be advantaged due to economies of scale. In other words, smaller producers would pay more per head to be in compliance with the mandate than larger producers whose costs would be discounted due to the purchase of RFID tags in larger volumes. These considerations are what caused the USDA to decide not to burden U.S. cattle producers with the higher cost of an RFID system. Today, though nothing has changed, the USDA wants to proceed without a public comment and rulemaking to arbitrarily impose a higher production cost on every U.S. cattle producer by mandating that they purchase RFID ear tags for all their cattle, adult cattle. We believe the USDA's global initiative is unlawful. We don't believe the USDA can arbitrarily impose the costly RFID system on U.S. cattle producers until and unless it undertakes a public comment and rulemaking and does a new cost-benefit analysis that the public could critique. This is particularly true since the government has already done this in the past and determined the cost did not outweigh the benefits. But the USDA is not listening to us, and it has bowed its neck with its pronouncement that by January 2023, producers will be required to purchase and use RFID ear tags. So what do? Neither Congress nor the President is willing to curb the USDA's overreach. That leaves the third branch of government, our U.S. court system, and perhaps that's our best opportunity to stop the USDA's improper conduct. Right now, we are exploring the option of filing a lawsuit against the USDA for its unlawful action of forcing producers to adopt a high-cost animal identification system without first following its own obligations to undertake a public comment and rulemaking process. With that, we're out of time. We hope you have a productive week. Thank you and goodbye.